to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today, my video that I'm going to be sharing with you is an energy update regarding the new moon in Pisces and as the sun transitions into Aries, and talking a little bit about the equinox and talking a little bit about this solar eclipse that we've just recently had. And I'll also be talking about what is going to be taking place for us as we sort of move towards the lunar eclipse that's going to be manifesting itself on the 4th of April. And I've deliberately kind of stopped the new moon from coming out on the date that the new moon was there. I try to sort of get in touch with the energies at that stage, and I was just being completely blocked in some way, shape or form. And also I was also suffering through a lot. Well, I wasn't actually suffering, I was just going through a lot of the energetic shifts myself, and my body needed a lot of rest, and I needed to kind of like really center myself in a space where I could actually take in a lot of what was currently being downloaded at that point in time. So here's the video encompassing the new moon that manifested itself, I believe, on the 20th, and the full moon that's going to be manifesting itself on the 4th of April. And basically looking at this solar eclipse that was in Pisces at 29 degrees, and then also looking at the blood moon that's going to be manifesting itself, like I said, in Libra. Now, these are very, very interesting times that we're currently experiencing right now. For one, the most of 2015, especially from January up until this point, has been an incredibly intense experience where the energy and the vibrations and the planetary alignments themselves have really been stepping up a notch. There's been an incredible amount of energetic download that has been manifesting on Earth. We have essentially had Mars and Venus move through Pisces, which is naturally going to cause that vibration within us to, feel overwhelmed in that sense. Of course, we had the sun move through Pisces from February up until March. And we've also had a lot of Mercury and the Mercury retrograde take place for us in Aquarius, which was kind of interesting. And it's not sort of something that you would actually find in old paradigm astrology, but the south node of Neptune, which actually sits between 14 and 17 degrees of Aquarius, okay, was being activated intensely with Mercury going over that period, when Mercury was retrograde and so on and so forth. So actually, I feel like it's really important for me to kind of share a little bit about the south node of Neptune and the importance of it. I will actually be creating a video very shortly talking about the story of awakening. I'm also going to be introducing to everybody the archetypes of planetary south nodes. I've touched on it briefly in some videos, but I haven't been really glamorous about them. I haven't really sort of gone in depth about it. But essentially what you're trying to understand here is that each planet itself has a south and north node, just as the moon has a south and north node. The only reason as to why we identify with the south node of the moon, north node of the moon, when we're really trying to understand ourselves as an interdimensional being, we're noticing that the south and north nodes are aspects of the past, because the moon correlates to our egocentric structure, the identity that we observe within ourselves, because of its relationship to Saturn and Capricorn and such. So that's why we're so conscious of that south node and north node in that sense. But the planetary south nodes themselves and north nodes, like for instance Uranus, like for instance, operates in that same dynamic. But the vibration of that is something that you really have to pay attention to in your life and shift your awareness to that space within your life to actually see those timelines manifesting itself in your life, to really be able to access the depth of the planetary south nodes that are not the moon. The sun doesn't have a planetary south node. So that's the first place. That's one of the reasons as to why I haven't actually introduced it completely yet, because it is quite a big thing. And the second thing is that the actual south node of Neptune that sits in Aquarius, because Neptune reflects to us the way that we return back to the essence of what it is that we are. In other words, when you want to fully understand Neptune itself, you assimilate the idea and identity of the essence of something. Okay, something that what is the essence of it? Whenever we pass from this plane, we take the essence of our journey with us and we leave our belongings, our material belongings behind. That's Neptune. So the south node of Neptune that sits in Aquarius for us represents to us on one deep level our spirituality and the way that we as humans have actually been spiritualizing our lives on Earth, or at least this dimension. That's one level of it. The next level of it is how we have been collectively Aquarius, within groups, Aquarius, had our spirituality also within ourselves. This is why we're unifying Earth. Do you see how this is working? Unity, Neptune or Pisces 12th house, because everything comes back to the center again. So we're finding that unity experience. And then, of course, Aquarius correlates to how we as a tribe on Earth unify. See how those two symbols work together. Now, unfortunately, due to the separation from the feminine, or at least the illusion of separateness and the way that we have played out this role within our lives over the last 6,000 years, and especially over the last 2,000 years with patriarchal conditioning coming through religion. And one of the reasons as to why we are so familiar with the patriarchal distortions, and especially the last 2,000 years of our lives in terms of the Piscean age, okay, because now we're talking about the Pisces age that lasts 2,000 years. We're very, very aware and very sensitive to those Earth timelines that are manifesting ourselves in the sense. So we're very sort of like acutely aware of these distortions. Whereas if you had to jump timelines to parts of yourself that are manifesting, that have manifested themselves on different points, at say for instance in 6,000 years when we're in the age of Cancer and such, there would be a very different essence or a way that you as a human being would operate within yourself. That consciousness is a very different space, and there wouldn't be a lot of those distortions. A very complicated experience that I'm trying to share with you, but I'm just trying to really, really open your mind to see the vastness of what it is that we're actually working with over here in terms of what you are as a human being and how vast your consciousness actually has expanded, which is one of the reasons as to why I've got that picture on the left hand side there, because I'd like you to really, really focus in on how many of those circles are in circles and circles and circles, and it sort of like gets to the point where it's so condensed. That middle part can be considered to be the Neptune archetype, the source of something, the point of origin. But if you really, really focus on it, and you sort of like sit in the middle and you pull your head back like that, you can actually see that the picture starts to come out at you. And then when you really look deep into it, you can actually see the depth of the picture as well. It's like you're shifting dimensions in that space. And those circles that are going around it like that correlate to the multidimensional self that you are. Those are Earth timelines in that experience. And that picture correlates beautifully to the Neptune South Node experience. The South Node of Neptune being in Aquarius, that there's a unity within our multidimensional self, and that's what we're doing on Earth at this point in time. We're moving into that space where we're interconnected within each other. But the patriarchal distortions and so on and so forth through religion have separated us. So we've actually got the trauma, Aquarius, the rejection of our spirituality, the rejection of our essence, the rejection of God in that sense, which in a way through patriarchal religious organized stuff, that is that man that sits outside there. But if you really, really observe it very carefully, you'll notice that actually what it is us being told how to let go of our own personal authority to something that governs us. And so therefore we have governments and churches and so on and so forth, and we bow down to these big people because they give you what it is that you think you need. So the first space that I want to bring us back to, after having a very deep discussion about the nature of the planetary archetypes and what 2015 has been about, is not only where we have reached a point right now, okay, the culmination, the solar eclipse in Pisces, okay, this 29-degree aspect, and then obviously the full moon, the new moon that took place there as well, is that we've reached a point now where that cycle is over. That cycle no longer supports our evolutionary journey anymore. That cycle of literally looking outside of ourselves and having authority give us the guidance is no longer accessible anymore. It is now time to really start being able to navigate the way that you operate your life from this heart-centered space, i.e. that you're now starting to integrate your multidimensional self through the heart, Christ consciousness, or at least the unity consciousness, 5th dimension. We're getting to the Christ consciousness as we go into 6, 7, 8 dimension. But now we just got to practice this. And so what we're doing is that we're moving from this space over here of being sort of controlled in a sense, and when I say controlled, I don't mean it in sort of a negative sense. I mean more along the lines is that when you're looking outside of yourselves, you're observing the distortions of how these programs, to quote the Matrix in that sense, is operating, and how you're consistently being shown that you need to surrender your authority to the way that you live your life. And this solar eclipse and everything manifesting in Pisces was this apocalypse. It was this awakening. It was this realization within the self, and it didn't have to be as dramatic and as galactic as, say, for instance, some people, it could be just as minimal as going, you know what, hey, like, I'm sick and tired of this relationship, or I'm sick and tired of this job, and I'm going to follow my heart. The variance of this awakening within yourself is however it was for you, but that was manifesting. And it's coming back to this space over here of now listening to this little voice that exists in here. When I point here, what I'm actually referring to is a dimension of consciousness that is operating in the 5th dimension, which is your higher self. And what we're trying to do now, as we move into 2015, which is a lot about what the blood moon is going to be symbolizing, in that sense, because it's being in Libra, is now you, okay? And in fact, if I just pull that back a little bit over here, and I say to you that again, to reconfirm that it is an ending of that cycle of allowing outside external authority figures to be able to define the nature of who you are and what it is that you are, and now coming back to the centered space in that sense. So with Venus has been moving through Taurus at this point in time, and what Venus has been doing has really been starting to stir up a little bit of the archetypes within yourself, timelines, multidimensional selves that are existing in different spaces, etc., and really starting to now ask you to start valuing and realigning your needs in that sense, where you are now saying, okay, this new change that came from the Pluto-Uranus square that happened on the 16th, that vibration, that echoing that is still with us right now, that is now needing to be implemented. That is now needing to be integrated. So where we are right now on the 26th of March is that process of becoming awake to that realization that now we are starting to integrate, okay, firstly become aware and then integrate these values and needs that facilitate this new awakening process. Do you see how important it is to really focus in on that space and to say, okay, this is why I'm valuing it, this is the importance of it, and so on and so forth. And as you do that, you intrinsically start to realign your relationship to yourself, that then starts to project it outwardly into the world, that then starts to change your reality outwardly. And you can't be looking at the outside world for the change. It's so important that you really, really recognize this experience, that this is a massive internal shift that is manifesting for yourself in an interdimensional way, which is why, again, really pay attention to that picture, because a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle, when we use it in the 3D consciousness, is a line. So an Earth timeline, this is the one you're living on right now, the one that you're the most present with right now is this Earth timeline. But when we transcend third dimension and fourth dimension, we're looking at everything as a circle, because it's a cycle. But in the third dimension, we have to see it in that 3D perspective, which is why it's a past, present, and future experience. So that picture over there is 2015 coming into this awareness, into this space of this new energy that's vibrating. It's very intense. It's very sort of like clearing. You know, there's lots of stuff happening. We're becoming aware of this massive tsunami that is starting to unfold within ourselves. We're going, oh my gosh, there's something manifesting here. I'm not even sure what it is, but I'm just going to ride the wave. And then we get to this point where the solar eclipse happens and everything is sorted, and this massive apocalypse awakens, and we go, oh, okay, that's what it was. Triggered off by the Uranus-Pluto square that manifested on the 16th of March. Now we're left with this vastness over here, and everything sort of assimilating in that space. And what we're now doing with that Venus moving into Taurus, and obviously Mars just going over in the ends of Aries, is we're now starting to look at ourselves as that multidimensional self that we are, and we're taking all this awareness and we're compressing it into a dense reality that is the physical. And as we sort of compress these multidimensional aspects of ourselves into this single pointed aspect, this point zero, this 0 point, through the heart chakra, then all of a sudden we're actually doing what it is that on a galactic scale is actually manifesting for us, which is that we're culminating an entire cycle, especially the Pisces cycle, but we're also culminating an entire cycle when it comes to the sine wave, which is the night aspect of the galactic cycle. Okay, go look on the internet for the word sine wave and spiritual sine wave, i.e. the one that's correlating to Aquarius being just after Pisces. So a lot of people talk about the Aquarius age in that sense, and the ecliptic is the space here, and Pisces is just below, and Aquarius is just at the top, and we're in that space, in that middle piece. Okay, and we're moving up into that space, and we're literally culminating an entire cycle of a spiritual winter in that sense, nighttime. So this natural cycle is coming to an end in a huge way. And so every single thing that you're currently experiencing at this point in time, and especially for the last 3.5 years, has been where every form of non-authentic self or distorted self that are existing, other timelines and so on and so forth, they're needing to come to an end, where it's like a train's track that's literally stopping and saying no more. That consciousness does not work. That consciousness does not work. That consciousness does not facilitate your ascension. That consciousness does not facilitate your ascension, etc. And that's what you've been experiencing, that letting go process. And that consistent sort of like dissolving and things ending in front of you. But you've never been told to realize that internal security is where you find your reality. You manifest from the inside out. So when things outside of you start to dissolve and you go, oh my God, my life's ending. Well, yes, it is in a sense, but it's actually creating space for a new one. So, as I sit with you today and I sort of share with you a lot of what I'm sharing with, what I'm speaking about, there is actually quite a lot of information that I've layered together. So I'm really, really sorry if this is, hard to sort of, follow at this point in time. Try to relax your mind and just kind of sit back and energetically experience what it is that I'm talking about, and even close your eyes, for instance, and just feel it on an energetic level, because it will resonate more with you there, because this is a channeling in that sense. Okay, and watch the video a couple of times, because I am taking different sort of tracks of consciousness and going through there, but I am trying to sort of bring it back and also show you the vastness of this story that you're experiencing. You know what I mean? We're all thinking to ourselves, this is insane. This is what life's happening at this stage. But when you truly encompass the totality of this experience, you'll see how vast this change is. You'll see what you're actually dealing with. But really focusing, as I said, coming back to that picture about that circle solidifying and being condensed, and all these timelines are sort of having to come back together so that you become aligned with that process. Think of it as a bubble and a bubble and a bubble and a bubble, and you're trying to get all those bubbles to merge into one big bubble. And so that's a lot of what we're experiencing at this point in time. And I've actually got the full moon chart up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move over to that chart so that I can further my explanation, but then also illustrate to you exactly what this full moon in Libra will be about, this blood moon. Okay? So I'll see you there. So first thing I want to do is just get your attention to the left-hand side of here. You can see my little red marker. And the first thing that I want to draw everybody's attention to in that sense is the fact that obviously the full moon is manifesting itself over there completely across the sun. And that's in Libra. And in evolutionary astrology, and also you'll notice a lot when it comes to the way that I communicate the astrology, the archetype of Libra and Taurus has a co-ruler with Venus. In other words, Libra and Taurus all share the same planetary archetype. And Venus correlates, there's two elements to Venus. There is the yang aspect, which is an external manifestation of energy going outwards. And there's the yin aspect, which is the Taurus. And so Venus correlates to our inner and outer relationship to ourselves, or should I say our inner relationship to ourselves and how we communicate with that experience. And then, of course, how we then reflect that in the outside world, and that's how we sort of develop relationships where we share with people what our values are and how we are as a person, how we communicate with ourselves. Pardon me. In that sense. So there's an interesting dynamic that's manifesting here. If you can see, Mars and Venus are both in Taurus, and then you've got this new moon, or pardon me, full moon manifesting itself in Libra in that way. And of course, you've got the North Node there as well. So there's quite a lot of synchronicity that's being reflected here. And of course, the ruler of the moon is actually Venus. So in this particular instance, this brings us back down to this very, very interesting collection of information that is being represented to us here. Pardon me, my throat is also experiencing a lot of, I needed to rest it quite a lot. So I do apologize, everyone. So, like I said, again, I've drawn your attention to the incredible amounts of synchronicity that's manifesting itself here with this Libra and this Taurus archetype. And also, you've got Pluto trining Venus at this point in time when this new moon takes place. So, not only is there huge, transmutation and redefinition manifesting through Pluto, and then obviously trining that Venus, it's then giving us that opportunity to really not realign, but align our sense of values with our definition. Okay, so you see how this is working. You're redefining, you're defining your new sense of values based on this apocalyptic awakening with the new moon in Pisces and solar eclipse with your definition. Okay, so that's layer one. And then, of course, Mars is kicking in as well and saying, okay, I also want to join this party over here. There's two layers to the situation that Mars is activating. Number one, it's actually in a sign that is in yin. So Mars is going to feel a little bit uncomfortable being in Taurus, saying, Taurus is asking for things to slow down, which thank God is the case. Thank God that Mars and Venus are in Taurus, because if you can see this fire trine that's manifesting itself here, I mean, that's just huge. That's so much potency that's manifesting at this point in time. The amount of energy of fire that is coming out is incredible with that fire trine over there. So, thank God the earth archetype and element is really grounding ourselves here so that we don't burn out. That's a really important thing, but I'll get onto that a bit later. So Mars is not only making a sextile towards Neptune in Pisces, it's also making an inconjunct towards Saturn in Sagittarius. Now, I'm going to break this down for you guys. The first thing that I want to show you is that whenever Pisces and Taurus are interacting with each other in the zodiac, okay, you need to know that Pisces correlates to the essence of something. And when Pisces sextiles Taurus, it is sharing with us that our values needs to contain that inspiration or essence that is motivating us to do something. You see what I'm trying to say here? If you're going to make like a very special dish for somebody, the essence Pisces, the dream Pisces is that connection. There's a meaning behind the process, and then you value that, and then that's what you define it as in that sense. So the archetype of Pisces and Taurus is being integrated here, where you're looking to connect back with the essence of who you are, Pisces, and then you're allowing that connection to be found from within, Taurus, in a relationship to the self, and having that God vibration there, that spiritual connection back within yourself. And then what happens is that Mars is also then in conjuncting the Saturn, and then that's saying to you, okay, you've got to recognize that new sense of integration of fifth dimension, integration of unity, integration of love needs to be aligned with your belief structure, truth, Sagittarius. Okay, and Saturn's causing that, sort of like saying, hey, by the way, you've got to pay attention to this process. You've got to align that with your philosophy in life, so that you can actually then be able to go around, and whatever it is that you are manifesting, whatever it is that you're creating, has got that vibration in it. You are honoring that vibration. You're honoring that sense of unity in your belief structure. Okay? So that Mars is kind of like pulling in that aspect and really, really then amplifying that Venus story of really saying to yourself that you've got to create these new definitions, or not create those new, but allow these definitions to be a part of you. And then what happens is that we trigger off this lunar eclipse that's manifesting itself in Libra, and also the North Node there. And this is about integration. This is about integration. Okay? It's so important to start now spending a lot of time with yourself, not only like really, really integrating the energies within to yourself at this point in time. So spend some time with yourself, like in nature, or, you know, just give yourself a 5 or 10 minute conversation where you're really integrating your higher self into yourself. You're saying, okay, I'm connected to my higher self. I know my spiritual path. I know my spiritual destiny. In that sense, I'm here, I'm awake, and I'm integrating into my life consistent choices that reflect that integration. And then the new moon, the full moon across the North Node is then saying the next aspects to this process is how you go about doing that with others. And this is how we're going to have to then move into this new 2015 archetype, or 2015 space, of that if you are creating something, if you are manifesting something, if you're wanting to do something, you have to consistently always integrate unity consciousness into it, because that's the platform that Gaia, Earth, so on and so forth, consciousness is vibrating on at this stage. And so if it's not going to be integrating, if you're not for the benefits of humanity, if it's not for the benefits of a community, or for someone, even if it's in just, in yourself in that sense, and I'm not talking egocentric, but actually finding the connection within and spreading that and helping the globe, then it's not going to be supported in that sense, because that consciousness is literally dying out in that way. It's not being supported. And it's so, so important for many of you that are sitting at this point in time saying, okay, I get this, I understand, this is my process, I've seen it elsewhere, to be able to start then allowing that consciousness to flood through, allowing that process to flood through, and to really start saying, okay, this is it. We're here now. How can I reach as many people as possible? What can I do? How can I help in some way, shape, or form, so that we can heal the collective? In that sense, it's so important to really, really honor that vibration in that way. Okay, sort of on a bit of a lower frequency. Okay, now that's actually the wrong word. I do apologize. On other forms, on other frequencies, other timelines that we've experienced, where there's some distortion, some patriarchal, pains, and so on and so forth. I really want to bring the attention back to the fact that if we are consistently experiencing an energy within ourselves that needs to be cleared, this is a time where you really need to keep it together. This is a time where it's like, get stuff and hold on, because this chart is mean. This chart is intense. This new full moon that's going to be happening over here is not going to be a walk in the park, okay? There's going to be a lot of stuff that's manifesting at this stage. It's going to be amplified. So please, 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 with that Sun conjunct that Uranus, I'm really, 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 really asking everybody to sort of keep balanced, keep integrated, keep spaced in that way. Allow yourself to be grounded. Whenever you feel like things are becoming too overwhelming, whenever you feel like things are getting a little bit out of hand, breathe, 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 breathe. Okay, I've got this. Okay, I'm grounded. Okay, and then re-engage again with incredible amounts of compassion, incredible amounts of like honoring the fact that it's intense at this stage, honoring the fact that that the energy frequencies are moving. I mean, that Sun conjunct Uranus in Aries with Mercury there as well, it is touching that fire trine, which is there, you see there, and with that Saturn, as you can see, it's so intense, it's fiery, and it's in our face at this stage. Okay, that's again why we've got all these quincunxes that are manifesting, these Virgo archetypes of needing to sort of like really be in the moment. Okay, so I hope I'm capturing everybody's sort of attention here when it comes to this chart. The frequency is going to be intense. Okay, so I'm asking you to keep aligned as best you can. Keep it together. Okay, if you see yourself wobbling in that experience, like identify that in that space and just go, okay, I'm a little bit sort of off center at this point in time. Take a breather. Okay, in some way, shape, or form, pause, breathe. I've got this, and then re-engage. Okay, so important. The next thing that I wanted to show everybody was a picture of obviously what the planetary archetypes look like. That's that chart that you've just seen, and this is what the actual solar system looks like at that point in time. And you can see over there, there's that trine that's manifesting. In fact, I've actually got it up. Let's see if that works. There we go. There's that trine that's manifesting itself. So a lot of heat, a lot of needing of there's the quincunx between Mars and Saturn in that experience. That's the trine that's going to be manifesting itself. There's the moon in Libra, that's in Sagittarius, that's in Aries, and so on and so forth. So please guys, I'm really allowing this experience in that sense, in that way. Okay, with regards to what I've just been talking about right now, especially when it comes to that like I said, that message about the fire trine, especially about the Mars and Venus being in Taurus, and really grounding that experience and allowing us to be in that centered space. It's so important that your relationship to yourself and the relationship that you're having to other people is kind of monitored at this point in time. Expect things to be very interesting when it comes to around about the 4th of April. In that sense, like I said, stuff's going to be amplifying. It's getting there at that stage, but really look for the serenity. Really look for the heart-centered space that's stuck over here, because everything's going to be crystallized through the toroidal field that is manifesting for you right now. You've got the toroidal field that is flowing through right now, and that picture on the left-hand side is all of the multidimensional lives trying to be integrated within this space. And so with these energies just consistently coming through and shaping up and speeding up and everything of the sort, you can see how you can spin out very quickly. You can burn out very quickly. So, okay, lots of water during this period of time. Filtered water, please, guys. No bottled water. I don't want any plastics. It needs to be through glass. It needs to be filtered. In that experience, you're trying to clean your pineal gland. You're trying to keep yourself clear of toxins and so on and so forth. Okay, and just like I said, try to do some relaxed things in that experience. Okay. All right, everybody, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. I really hope that it gave you a lot to think about, or at least to feel about in that sense. I hope it brought a lot of stuff to your consciousness that will aid you through this transition in that sense, and that it was of service in some way, shape, or form. Okay? Just before I go, I would just like to say to everybody that has written, emails to myself and on the YouTube page and has joined the Facebook and so on and so forth, I deeply appreciate all the wonderful comments. I read them and such. If I don't get to them as fast as the YouTube comes up in that sense, I know that I am like this, just so busy at this stage, and I'm trying to get through them as fast as possible. Remember that every single week there is the questions and answers webinar that I host. Please know that I change the times just to accommodate everybody on the planet at that stage. The links are always in the Facebook page, which I highly recommend clicking on once you've watched this video. Everything is in the description below. please come over to my website and browse the site, look at all the articles that I've written. If you're interested in actually having a soul guidance session with myself, understanding your multidimensional self, allow me to share with you my perspective. In that sense, I've got a plethora of different types of services that I have available in that way, so please browse that. You can always support Raising Vibrations by purchasing a reading or joining the school, the online astrology school that I have with a group of people at this stage. It's actually been super amazing. We've really been able to, there's a lot of people that have joined the courses, have allowed themselves to actually use astrology or evolutionary astrology in a way that's able to objectify the reality. We've had some that have had awakenings in that experience. So I highly encourage participating in that experience in that sense. And what else is there? Nope, that's about it. Please make sure that you like the YouTube video, share it with everybody that you feel is going to get a lot of benefit from this experience. Thank you so much for participating in this journey with me. And until the next video, take care everyone. Bye-bye.